And I have counsel. I don't know where he is. Alex Henry is supposed to be here with legal aid. I've been emailing him since last week.
You say Mr. Henry's representing you?
Mhm.
Did he say that?
Yep. He sent me an email and asked me, did I still need his services? And I told him, yeah, I called him this morning and I emailed him this morning and I didn't get no response. Because of legal aid, they don't have walk-ins anymore. You have to call. And he said he was going to help us get the other documents that she need. They sent her birth certificate application back. Social Security closed the week we were going to go, open back up this week. And I had no money to catch the bus. So he emailed me on the 28th and said he was going to help us. And I have this I gave to her.
Hold on.
Regardless of the documents, it's true, they do owe us some documents. I think the last time, a couple of weeks ago, you ordered Ms. Hines to pay escrow. That was a problem. And my assistant called the court 2 days ago. It was not paid. She's paid nothing since November. Now, of
I
course,
didn't get my check. They, FIA said I had to turn a statement in, so Social Security put a hold on it until they recalculate, they said, because FIA paid, Department of Human Services pays my Medicare premium. And so she said she needed 2 statements from Chime. And I emailed her that, and I've been calling them every day.
When are you supposed to get your check?
As soon as FIA releases it, they do their part. And Social Security, I called them yesterday, and they said as soon as they get the paperwork from FIA saying that they're going to pay their part.
well, Judge,
But I have 280 on the 27th.
I'm going to assume that this court did question her on the funds last time we were in court, and I think there was a representation that she would be able to do it. And even before we started this case, she hadn't been paying her rent. Last time she paid was November.
Yep.
So that's a
You contact legal.
I should have paid it.
Mr. Henry.
I should have paid it, but they refuse to fix anything in my apartment.
Pardon?
They don't want to fix nothing in my apartment.
Okay. Ms. Hines, I can.
And I can't reach out to
Hines?
agencies because I don't
Hines.
think.
Ms. Hines, I may be able to get to all of those issues, but you've got to put the money in escrow.
I will.
When is it going in? Because you told me before you were going to pay it in.
The 27th. I'll put it in there.
Well, you were supposed to pay the 280 on that day.
Yeah, yes.
But what about
I was going to try to give the 1,500.
Pardon?
Got my check because I get 1164.
Pardon?
I get 1164 a month, and then when my daughter-in-law, my nephew's girlfriend, give me 280, then I was going to put that with it.
Is that the other occupant?
But I don't have no thing for court from the court to get help from the agency.
What do you mean you don't?
I don't have no court thing saying that I got owed that money. I filed for FIA.
Complaint, Ms. Hines.
Huh?
Who have you tried to contact?
The SER with FIA. And they sent me a letter back denying me because they had I didn't have no documentation to send in showing that I had to go to court for it.
You had to send them your complaint.
It's not on there.
What's not on there?
My rent.
Termination, Judge.
He's taking me to court for something else, not rent.
Right, it's for termination, but should be able to get something from your landlord. This is what I owe.
Okay.
But
they want it.
Okay.
Something for it.
Got a document. You can submit that to.
Okay.
Yes.
I will do that.
Okay, but still, is it just you in your apartment?
Me and my nephew. He's on my lease, and then.
All right. So that'd be only about $520 of this.
Right.
Okay, so Ms. Hines, what do you want to do with this case? Because
I want to get it paid. I want them to fix everything in my apartment.
Okay, we'll get to that, but you're not really doing what you need to be doing on this case.
I know, but I will. I just been stressed out.
Okay, everybody's stressed.
Yes.
So when are you going to get them to document? My understanding is there were some documents of Social Security, some other things that they.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
When are you going to get them the documents?
We'll have him by the 27th, the attorney. He's working on it now.
Who's working on it?
Alex Henry with Legal Aid.
Oh, uh,
And you've not heard from Mr. Henry.
no, and I don't know why a lawyer is needed for financial documents.
Well, I don't know that I can question that. I just need to know, did legal aid give you advice or are they going to represent you?
He said he was going to represent me.
All right, let me pass this briefly. I'm going to have my staff check because that puts me in a different posture if she's represented. That's, I'll call you right back up, Miss Swan.
All right.
Shout it in front of me. Tabor Hill on Clark versus Sylvia Amory Brewer.
Mark Wasbury for plaintiff.
Ms. Hines, Mr. Henry has indicated to us that they are not representing you.
Oh, he told me he was when he emailed me.
Ma'am, I'm telling you, have my email copy.
I need to call him.
No, it says I have spoken with Ms. Hines in the past, but not heard from her since April 28th. I do see she reached out by email this morning, but unfortunately we don't have availability to enter her case at this time. So they're not representing you.
Okay. Didn't know. So can I?
They're seeking to terminate your tenancy because you don't have the stuff to them.
Right. I have 280 on the 27th, another 500 on the 1st. I'll try to get more and go reach out to the agencies.
But this is there's documents you're supposed to provide to the landlord.
Yes.
Haven't given those to them.
Right. And she said before she let me get evicted, she would leave, find somewhere to go. Stacy.
Do what?
Stacy Stieford says she would find somewhere else to go until she got all her paperwork.
Who is Stacy?
My nephew's girlfriend. They come from Oklahoma.
Wow.
Yeah, says she will.
When is she going to move out?
She'll have to move out, say, next week. She says she'll find somewhere to go.
That's very weak.
She don't get her check till the 27th.
So it doesn't. I would ask for a judgment. I mean, it doesn't sound like there's any progress here. She's admitted the unauthorized occupant is living there. Unfortunately, this is not the first time we've been way behind on rent with Miss Hines.
Termination case. So I'm going to find that at this time there's no tribal issue. I'm going to issue a judgment for. I'm going to make writ date. I'm going to do it this way, Mr. I'm going to make the writ date, send it to May 29th, 2026. I'll set a hearing on the writ that date So we're just gonna do this all in one fell swoop and be done. That will be at 12 noon. Ms. Hines, I can't make it any clearer. I'm issuing a judgment. You'll be evicted after the 29th.
If I get the,
Supply all the documents to the landlord.
okay,
They need to be supplied to them. I'm giving one more shot. That'd be the hearing date on the 29th.
This is basically the judge issuing a final warning shot. In legal terms, a writ means the actual eviction process can move forward physically if the conditions aren't met. And the judge could not be more direct here. Provide the documents, pay the balance, or the clock runs out. But honestly, you can also hear something else in his voice. He's still trying to avoid eviction if possible. Housing court judges walk this tightrope constantly, enforcing the law while also trying not to put people on the street.
The first two are, got it. Your name? Simple. Your name, sir?
Matata Patrick.
All right. Well, where are we on this case?
Your Honor, the rent to retain is $2,980.32 with costs of $176.32 for a total of $3,162.64. We're asking for a writ date of May 18th.
All right. Anybody? Yes. Your position with this is you can restate it for the record. Your position with this case? Yes. Okay. So what were you going to tell me?
So there's correspondence with the actual homeowner that there's an agreement where we would continue to pay the rent that we've been paying. In addition to the utility bills that I do a utility allowance for, which were done on yesterday, as a matter of fact. And then we would continue to seek alternate funding for the back rent, as well as find Mr. Matata a new unit to go to. And then my agency could then, if we couldn't seek an alternate community resource to pay for his back rent or pay a portion of that, we could then pay that entire back rent at that point once he leaves the unit. And that's in correspondence. There's an entire email thread with that the previous attorney should have access to. The one that was here a week ago.
All right. So
Ms. Hall, I believe the name was.
yeah. So what's really happening is the rent's going to be paid going forward.
It has been for the last 2 months. We've paid 2 payments already of $1,760, plus have done 2 utility allowances for Mr. Matata as well.
So what months would those be?
It was March and it was April, and then I just delivered one. Yes. Wednesday, maybe Tuesday, Wednesday. It was a little late because our printing machine was down. I delivered it to the new address on Michigan Avenue in the Dropbox.
So that payment must not have been taken off of this account. And the only reason, the only reason I'm saying that is because the number claimed owed went up 1 month. But if what you're indicating happened, then it's going to go back to that one figure where I have a static amount of back rent. Okay.
Correct.
All right. No, that's okay. So what are we going to do then on the case? I get that rent's being paid going forward, but I don't know.
And then homeowner, I'm not sure. I assumed there was correspondence with them. He had agreed. He said put it in letterhead, which I attached to the email as he suggested with the terms. So I'm not exactly sure.
But go ahead. Yeah.
Your Honor, my client has indicated that what he is willing to accept as a conditional dismissal with the terms that have been laid out before the court.
Okay, I guess I don't have a problem with it, but I don't want to end up as the one thing that I didn't hear is there a date that he's going to move, or has that been resolved?
For alternate housing right now.
Okay, that's gonna be right. No, I get it. I guess that's gonna be my problem with the conditional dismissal because there isn't an end.
Well,
Oh, and
I would raise the question then, is there a reasonable expectation he'd be out by the end of June? Because we put at the end of June date in there. If not, then we're back to the question you pose, Your Honor.
yeah, but I don't know if that's realistic under. I mean, I can't force somebody to agree to that date. It sounds to me like the parties are working together so that everything stays static. The one thing that's missing is that end date. And how many people are in his family? Do you know? Is it just him?
So
Okay. That's going to be okay. Now I understand. That's going to be the problem because you got to find a unit for 7.
and the family has no income, so that's been the issue, accumulating late fees, and there have been some fees that have been attached that our grant could not cover, so I've had to find, for the last several years, we've been working with him, community resources to cover these fees. And at this point, we've just ran out of funding for those resources. He's access to the ESG funding through SOS several weeks ago, which was the max at that point. And so we've met that for the year already.
So he's already gone through SOS, got the 3.
Correct. My agency, though, I was confirmed with my supervisor on Thursday. We're getting some additional funding for housing in June. What that looks like, I'm not entirely sure. We could put some of that funding towards that balance at that
Is this
point.
coming from the county?
No, sir, I'm not sure what the funding is. If it's
Okay.
grant or.
Gotcha. Okay. No, the other reason I'm asking is because everything is now messed up with funding
Yeah.
in a big way. So let me ask this. If the back balance got paid, are they going to be able to stay or no? I mean,
Our client indicates yes, Judge.
okay. So,
My grant, unfortunately, we can't pay that back rent until he's out of the unit.
because nobody wants to make my life easy. Okay.
Client indicates, Judge, if the court is comfortable with putting either a July or an August date to give them more time, we could put that in the conditional dismissal if the court is comfortable with it.
I'd be comfortable with this because we could do that so that there's a conditional dismissal of August, but that there would be no writ without a hearing. I don't, and here's the reason I'm saying that. The issue with what's now happened with funding in this county.
This right here is the bigger story behind the case. The judge is basically pulling back the curtain on how overwhelmed housing assistance systems are becoming. Funding shortages, overcrowded programs, families needing emergency placement. It's not just one tenant struggling anymore, it's an entire system under pressure. And notice how the conversation shifts from who owes rent to how do we realistically house a family of 7. That's what makes these hearings so complicated. It's law, economics, and human survival all colliding in one courtroom.
As we go into the summer to save people's housing. So normally under the circumstance, we'd be able, quite frankly, if we were in the winter, which is another weird thing, we'd likely be able to find funding to pay this back balance. and then move forward. I can tell you right now, it's not going to happen. In particular, if he's already tapped into the resources, it's not going to happen. So I don't have a problem, and I'd appreciate if there was an August date, but that there be a hearing prior to the issuance of that. But as a part of that conditional dismissal, his current monthly rent has to be paid forward so that this amount doesn't get higher.
So that's what we've agreed to.
Okay. Then I don't have a problem if we do an August date, but there'd have to be a hearing. And again, it's just because we're in so much flux. He's got to find a place for 7 people. But I'd be comfortable doing that. Would that work for you, sir? All right.
So we'd have an end date of end of August, and there would by necessity be a hearing prior to the issuance of the writ.
Correct.
Okay. I'll get that drafted and filed.
All right. So I'll mark this conditionally dismissed and then submit the paperwork to me. Sir, I do have to advise you that you're appearing here, you're not represented by counsel. Once you sign on to the conditional order dismissal, and I think it's clear what has to happen. They're going to be paying your rent. Got that? Going forward, so there's no balance. And then they're going to be looking for housing for you, but nothing would happen until August. You understand that? All right. And then should you not have secured housing by August, there would be a hearing before this court before an issuance of the writ. You understand that? Those are the basic terms.
Okay.
All right. And so since you're unrepresented by counsel, once you sign off on that, you have 3 business days from the date of my signature to move this court to set that aside. Believe that there's some confusion on your part, some misrepresentation, something you didn't understand, or some right you didn't assert. Okay, that doesn't mean I would grant it, but you'd have that time frame. Got it? Okay. Thank you, folks.
And that's where the case ends, for now. What started as a straightforward eviction hearing slowly turned into a deep look at poverty, housing instability, and the impossible balancing act courts face every day. The judge ultimately gave more time, but with very strict conditions attached. And honestly, these cases are never just about unpaid rent. They're about paperwork delays, broken communication, missing funding, overcrowded households, and people trying to stay afloat 1 month at a time. But I want to hear your take. Did the judge handle this fairly, or was this already too many chances given?